All right, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores. Sorry I ended up busy the last couple of days, but we are here to break down another Rico report, man. You know, with Rico reports, we kind of jump around from topic to topic, and they're all centered around the Commanders, but they may not necessarily have anything to do with each other. First of all, we're going to dive into how the Washington Commanders are sending scouts to the UGA Marshall game and also the Notre Dame Miami game. I hope y'all got to see that last game especially. And then also, of course, we got to dive into the top prospects from each of those games. But I believe we're going to a Super Bowl this year, so I'm not trying to push the draft content too much, but I do want y'all aware, and I'm going to explain why in this video. And also, we have some clips of Gabe Taylor working hard. And Quinn said some interesting things in a press conference a few days ago. I really want to dive into that, like how the Commanders are looking past the Giants towards the Packers, already starting to strategize towards them. Also, you have a college football team that completely stole the Washington Commanders jersey designs. Like I am shocked at how much they look like the Redskins. It's insane. You'll see. We're gonna dive into that, and also some interesting information and deep dive into the whole RFK demolition and why they're not just blowing it up in one big explosion, why they're having to take their time and everything. We're going to dive into all of that and more, but before we do, make sure you still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting the videos, man. Make sure you stay tuned. Really appreciate y'all. We're going to go on a really fun ride this season, man. Shouts out to Sleeper for sponsoring the channel. We'll probably get a few more throughout the season as well, just to give you the heads up. And without further ado, man, let's go ahead and dive into this video, man. I can't wait for week one. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so again, first of all, I want to dive into some of the games that the Commanders are sending some of their scouts to. And I'm not going to spend too much time listening and breaking down the prospects. Like, you need to go watch film with them now or something like that. I'm more so going through these names so that, like, if you just so happen to be watching college football on Saturdays like I do all day, every day, I probably watch more college football than I watch NFL. At least you'll know which names you really need to keep an eye out for, basically. Because I believe, like I said earlier before the intro, we're going to a Super Bowl this year. So I'm not trying to push some draft content or something like I'm going to be doing mock drafts anytime soon, but basically consider this as a guide, is like, if you're gonna watch some college football, which teams you should prioritize watching and which players from those teams, because it's likely that next April we'll be getting a few of them. So first of all, Ryan Fowler later on, after I did my video a couple of days ago breaking down how the Commanders went, we sent some scouts to the Ohio State game, and I did a breakdown of like the top prospects that were playing in that game that we may want to look out for. I'm not going to redo that, but he did update us on the fact that the Commanders specifically sent 2 scouts to that game. Green Bay sent 3, Indianapolis sent 3, a lot of other teams sent 2, and then he even specified that the Giants sent GM Joe Schoen. So, you know, it's like a lot of updated information, and I just thought that was interesting that we sent 2 guys there. Also, for the Marshall, Georgia game. Now, of course, most people were definitely going for like Georgia. Maybe there's some talent there at Marshall that I'm not aware of. I mean, granted, they just had Mike Green, so I'm not going to sit here and overlook them, but they did have like a ridiculous amount of roster turnover. I think I heard some type of stat like they have like 50 something or more new players or something, like all in one off season, like new head coach, new everything. So you don't necessarily expect them to go out there and win a lot of games this year, but maybe they have some talent. But I'm pretty sure most of the people that were there, and Ryan Fowler said that Seattle, Miami, the Chargers, the Cowboys, the Packers, and the Falcons, and of course the Commanders were present at that game. And some top prospects for you to listen out for: Kristen Miller, the defensive lineman. I'm letting you know right now that this is like our closest thing that we've had to Jalen Carter since he left. I think he's going to end up being the best defensive tackle when it's all said and done. He's pretty underrated right now, and it's not even just me being a homer. I've seen even other people talk about it, so I was like, wait a minute. So maybe I'm not tripping. You know what I'm saying? I saw a couple of YouTube videos where they had him as their #1 defensive tackle. And then you have linebacker CJ Allen. I mean, just the best linebacker we've had since Roquan, in my opinion. Zachariah Branch, the most explosive wide receiver I remember us having in a long time. Monroe Freeling, I think he'll potentially rise up to a first rounder as well, just like the other names that I just gave you at tackle. Dalen Everett is a really good corner that we have. Oscar Delp really good inline blocking tight end, but also can receive the ball. Raylan Wilson, linebacker. Ernest Green, Jonell Aguero, Lawson Lucky, London Humphreys, Roderick Robinson, Michael Morris. We'll see if all of these guys actually end up entering the draft. But Colby Young, watch out, man. We got some guys out there. And then also, reps from the following clubs were in attendance to the Notre Dame-Miami game. That went down, and that was a really fun game to watch, man. That went down to the wire. First, it was looking a little ugly in the middle. Then it went down to the wire. You had the Bills, the Chargers, the Jaguars, the Broncos, the Colts, the Giants, the Ravens, the Texans. And the reason why we're here talking about it, the Commanders. And for the Miami side, I mean, you have that offensive tackle, that Francis Maigua. I hope that's how you pronounce that name, but I know he's really good. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I know that guy's a hooper. And also defensive lineman Ruben Bain Jr. Hey, hooper. Carson Beck, even though he's been very disrespectful to the Georgia Bulldogs since he's left, he's a talented guy. I'm not going to take nothing away from him, and he played pretty well at the end right there. I'm not going to lie. They also have that running back, Mark Fletcher Jr. They have a Riley Williams at tight end. I mean, they have some talented guys over there that you may want to look out for. And then on the Notre Dame side, they have arguably the best running back in college in Jeremiah Love. They have that Emil Wagner, offensive tackle, that you may want to look out for. The Drake, or however you pronounce his name, Bowen, that linebacker as well. Malachi Fields, a wide receiver. Jaden Greathouse, the wide receiver. I mean, they have a lot of guys that's probably going to go within the first 3-4 rounds of the draft. So just a couple of teams to look out for, man. Now, moving on to the next part of this video. That boy Gabe Taylor's working hard, man. I think he honestly deserves a shot, because I agree with JD5, my GOAT. He said on Twitter, man, Gabe is at least better than most of the third stringers in the preseason that we just saw, man. Like, out of most of the third stringers in the preseason that were garbage in that secondary, I think you could at least gave him a shot. I feel like he could have stood out, and they're tripping for at least giving you a better opportunity. Now, I already warned y'all before we even brought Gabe Taylor in for a tryout that it was not very likely that he would make this team. And just to let y'all know, he never was officially on the roster. He was purely just a tryout. He was not even an undrafted free agent. But I agree, though, man, that as bad as our secondary looked in the preseason, a lot of those backups, Gabe Taylor could have went out there and did at least a slightly better job than those guys. Was he good enough to make the final 53-man roster necessarily? Was Gabe Taylor even talented enough to maybe even make the practice squad? I'm not sure, but I feel like he could have at least done better than some of those guys we saw out there in that preseason, man. But here's some clips of Gabe Taylor working out right now. And again, these were uploaded directly by him. And shouts out to Gabe Taylor, man. He looks good. I really think a lot of the issue with him is his lack of height. I think literally that's all that's holding him back, because remember, like way back, like months ago, I broke down his relative athletic score and it was pretty low, and then all I did was increase his height by like a few inches, and then it was like this really high relative athletic score. Like, he's fast, he has everything that you can want as far as strength, explosion, speed. Like, he has a lot of great traits to him. He's just really small to be playing safety. Like I said, his best shot is probably making a transition to like a slot corner or something like that. That's probably like his best bet, but maybe he doesn't have the hips and the technique to be a really good slot corner. That's more than likely why he's played safety, but I think he's a quality safety. He is very undersized, I understand, but there's some talent there. But again, just to let you know, he is not on the NFL roster, and he's especially not on the Commanders roster. He is not on the team. I really want to emphasize that, because I know a lot of people keep asking, and I'm rooting for Gabe Taylor, but he is not on the team, and I don't expect him to end up on the team at any point this season. He's going to keep working out. He's going to keep trying. Maybe next offseason he'll come back for another tryout. Maybe he'll be better. Maybe he'll make up for his lack of height. Who knows? But just to warn y'all, 2025-wise, no Gabe Taylor, at least on the Commanders, but who knows? Anything can happen. Now, moving on, before we go to the second half of this video, of course, I gotta let y'all know that football is back, man, which means you now have a chance to 100 times your cash on daily fantasy football. Washington football has never been more exciting than it is now, with elite offensive players like a top 5 quarterback in Jaden Daniels, paid and happy Terry McLaurin, improved to everybody, I still got it, Deebo Samuel, man, and many other Commanders players. Pick on stats for these stars like touchdowns and passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more for up to a 100 times payout on Sleeper. And if you're right on your picks, you can win big money-uns, and use promo code SCORE, that's SCORE, again, SCORE, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. You can even just click the link at the top of the description of this video, along with every video that I'm going to be making all season. And just in case, if y'all don't know about combo play, you can even miss some of your sleeper pick entries and you'll still cash in with some of those combo plays. Like, for example, like I'm doing this one right here. This isn't a combo play, but they have some of the popular picks. Like, they have a popular pick section right here, popular duos. And I chose the Jaden Daniels Christian McCaffrey one. For Jaden Daniels, he has to get more than 225.5 yards. I'm good to go. If Christian McCaffrey gets more than 71.5 rushing yards against, honestly, a really good Seattle Seahawks defense, then I'm good to go. And say if I were to put 10 down, I can end up getting 3.42 times on this and end up making $68.4. I'm telling you right now, you do not want to miss out on these sleeper opportunities, man. And also, it's not just the Commanders in the NFL. You can also play daily fantasy for the NBA, the MLB, the NHL, college football, college basketball, and the WNBA, all on Sleeper. Entries can be made in 30 seconds or less. They have safe and fast withdrawals. And of course, terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. And it's a $1 minimum entry for users. But again, if you're going to go in there and this is your first time using Sleeper, you might as well go ahead and use that SCORE promo code, or again, use the link in the description, the top of the description of this video and every video I do for the rest of this season. Let's get back to the video though, man. Let's do it. And now we got to talk about some things that Dan Quinn said from a few days ago, because some of them are really interesting. Like, first of all, Dan Quinn mentioned that he understands that Washington could have some regression on fourth down success, which makes me think, okay, that's probably why you went and gave Matt Gay the most guaranteed money on a single year deal in kicker NFL history. That has to play a role in that, even though I don't feel great inside from what I saw from Matt Gay in the preseason, missing a 49-yarder, then a couple of games later missing that 53-yarder against the Ravens. Like, I don't know, when the people out here in that same Ravens preseason game, a backup kicker made a 61-yarder. Somebody for like the Jacksonville Jaguars made like a 70-yarder. I'm like, yo, people out here, their backups are making kicks better than our starter. And again, we just gave this guy the most guaranteed money on a one-year kicker deal in NFL history. So what's going on here? So, but they must have faith in him. Again, the guarantee money that they gave him and the fact that Dan Quinn is acknowledging, like, yeah, man, we were so successful on fourth downs last year. We just can't necessarily expect for that to continue and to repeat this year, because we were like historically great. But he said, quote, Jaden was a big factor in that, unquote. And sometimes Jaden just made a play. And Dan Quinn does not want to have to depend on that. So not even just a kicker, but also Jaden Daniels, there's some faith there. And even beyond that, he has faith that maybe our offense will just be better around Jaden Daniels. He feels like some of the times that, and one of the main reasons that we were just so historically great on fourth downs was specifically because of Jaden Daniels just making a play. Just plain and simple. Cliff Kingsbury may not even necessarily call it the best play call. The offensive line may not even have their best blocks or even won their matchups. Receivers may not have necessarily even been open. But Jaden Daniels would just find a way to make a play. And even though Jaden Daniels, we can kind of expect him to continue to do that. And if anything, I think he's only going to get better. But I love the fact that Dan Quinn is basically, this lets you know that this entire offseason, when it goes all the way back to free agency, to draft and everything, how they constructed this team was like, hey, can we please give Jaden Daniels some help? Even outside of just fourth down situations specifically. This does not solely apply to fourth downs. This whole point of everything, the reason we went and got Laramie Tunsil in the trade, Deebo Samuel in the trade, and then signed so many free agents, so many impactful potential starter free agents, so many draft guys with so much talent, Josh Connolly and Tre'Navian Amos, so even on the defensive side of the ball is going to contribute immediately. Jalen Lane at wide receiver, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt in the 7th round. They wanted to do everything that they can to where the rest of the team around Jaden Daniels is better, to where we don't have to depend on him. Jaden Daniels is going to be great, but hopefully other guys can make plays as well, and then maybe that would allow us to continue to be historically great at on fourth down conversion situations. Also, you would just hope that your kicker is good enough to where you don't even have to go for a lot of these, but I'm pretty sure that's the identity of this team. I'd probably go for some of them, even if we are in Matt Gay range, just because, I mean, that's just who we are, and I just like that element of physicality and risk-taking. Like, we're just going to put our foot on your necks. I don't care if you stopped us, it's 4th and 3. We're going for it because we dare you to stop us, and we're going to go score a touchdown afterwards as well. That's so demoralizing to a defense. I just love that identity that we just feel that dominant. Like, we can play around with you on first, second, and third down. Then we mean business on fourth down. We get it anyway. And now you're tired and exhausted and sad. Come on, bro. I love that. But so even if Matt Gay's a good kicker, I would still like to continue to go for it on fourth down quite a bit. You know, don't depend on it like we had to last year at times, but still do it occasionally. But then also, this was the interesting thing that came up. Dan Quinn said that the Commanders coaches spent a lot of the past few days, and this is back on August 28th, my fault, when he said this, August 28th, he said the last few days, they spent time on working on their game plan for Green Bay in week 2. Now, of course, a lot of people hear this and it's like, man, that means they're just overlooking the Giants. Could this potentially be a trap game or something like that? But no, it's more so, honestly, because we play the Packers on a short week. We play the Giants September 7th on Sunday, right? Then we have to turn around and play the Green Bay Packers on Thursday, September 11th. Like, that is a crazy thing to hit us with week 2. I believe we're the first Thursday night Amazon Prime Video live stream game of the NFL season with the Packers. I think we're the first Thursday night game of the season. They hit us with it week 2. They're trying to kick things off immediately. And of course, Micah Parsons just got traded there. A lot of people believe in Jordan Love, that he could end up being one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. So that's going to be one of the most watched games of the entire NFL season. I guess they knew what they were doing even before the Micah Parsons trade to set us up to be the first Thursday night game to get people interested. You know, Amazon was like, hey man, NFL, give us a really good matchup so people can really feel invested in a Thursday night football this season. We got to open it up with a bang. They chose us and the Packers. And, you know, maybe the game will live up to it. I'm hoping, of course, that it's a blowout on the Commanders' end. Just blow them out, embarrass them, make them regret ever trading for Micah Parsons and all of that. But it probably will honestly end up being a good game. And I can see why you would take some time to kind of start game planning ahead for the Green Bay Packers, especially on a short week. But also, that's just a really good team. I'm expecting the Giants to be fourth, at best third in the division. I'm not saying overlook them, but especially on a short week coming up, you better have some type of game plan and plays installed specifically to counter what the Green Bay Packers do best and to take advantage of what they do worst. You got to have something in there. Now, of course, granted, after we play the Giants on Sunday, I guess we'll have maybe like Tuesday and Wednesday to get some game plan stuff done, but that's why with that short week, you have no choice but to look ahead against the Packers. It doesn't have as much to do with the fact that the Giants are perceived to be less good or worse than the Packers, if that's the way you want to look at it. There's an element of that. I'm not going to sit here and act like there's none of that, but it's more so because of the short week situation. And then, of course, again, with the Packers, bro, Micah Parsons being there is insane. I mean, there's a reason why we have to look towards them. We can't just look over the Packers and be like, we'll just game plan for the Giants. We'll figure out the Packers later on, even if it's only a couple of days. That's all we need. No, you can't do that with the Packers. That's a really talented team, and especially after they traded for Micah Parsons. Ben Standig brought up a great point. Micah Parsons' career high in splits versus his foes. Sacks. His most sacks against any team in the NFL are the Commanders with 10.5 sacks in 8 games. Now, granted, the Panthers are 5.5 in only 3 games, but Philly's third with 5 sacks in 7. Only one less game than the Commanders, but yet 5.5 sacks left. 5.5 sacks less. And then the New York Giants, 4.5 in the same amount of games. So in the same 8 games that he's played against the Commanders and the Giants, he has 6 less sacks against the Giants than he did against the Commanders. Like, we're just the team that just let him go crazy. If it feels that way as a fan, this data backs it up. Yes, Micah Parsons eats against the Commanders. At least he has in previous years. And tackles for loss, 9 against us, 6 against the Giants, 6 against the Eagles. Quarterback hits, 15 against us, 13 against the Giants, 8 against the Eagles. Like, no matter which stat you look at, Micah Parsons has had his best statistical games against the Commanders compared to any other team in the entire NFL. So, hey, man, we have to do something about that. But we got something for you, Micah Parsons. That boy, Laramie Tunsil. Now, I love Brandon Coleman, but he's a better guard, and he needed chip help from tight ends and wide receivers a lot last year. And Andrew Wiley's cool, just cool. Charles Leno and Cornelius Lucas had their moments, but none of those 4 tackles are like what we have in Josh Connolly at right tackle, and especially Laramie Tunsil. We got something for that this year. We have something for that. Shouts out to my boy Deuce Red Zone over there. Y'all already know Red Zone in the lab over there. He brought up even a film session of Micah Parsons having to go against Laramie Tunsil when Laramie Tunsil was on the Texans. And he showed 3 plays of run and pass, and Micah literally was either getting folded or running away from Laramie Tunsil. So if there's anybody that can neutralize the Micah Parsons dominance that he's had against the Burgundy and Gold since he's come into the league just a couple of years ago, it is Laramie Tunsil, who we just added this offseason. That's one of the main reasons you went and got him. Josh Connolly is the Abdul Carter eraser. Laramie Tunsil is arguably a Micah Parsons eraser. So again, shouts out to Red Zone in the lab. I'm not going to show those clips because first of all, I want you to go check it out on his Twitter account personally. I don't want to just completely circumvent his content and stuff like that. And then also, I'm not sure how YouTube feels about this all 22 film session angle that he put up there, but go check that out. The point is, even if if you don't feel like going to go see it, the point is Laramie Tunsil is going to potentially do a great job of neutralizing Micah Parsons, and we should be good to go. Also, with the Team 980, Linnell Willingham went on there and he was asked, which Commanders offseason acquisition is the biggest key to week 1 success? And he said, Laramie Tunsil. And I feel like he's going to be one of the biggest keys to our success as far as like additions to the team this offseason between free agency and the draft. I feel like he's going to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, the entire season. Even as much as I love Deebo Samuel, as excited as I am for him and all these defensive players we brought in, offensive players, all of these guys, Josh Conley, Trenavian Amos, Laramie Tunsil may end up being the biggest X factor that we brought in, the biggest help to why we end up winning the Super Bowl this year that we brought in through this offseason out of any other player. And then now also moving on to a college football team completely jugging our jerseys, man. I mean, golly, the stripe on the helmet. Shouts out to Grant Paulson for pointing this out. He said Central Michigan's new jerseys look familiar. Can't put my finger on why though. But what an amazing color scheme. This should have been what the Commanders jerseys look like. I mean, this is insane. This is literally the Redskins. Take a look for yourself right here. The Central Michigan Chippewas. I don't even know, like, it's like the colors are one thing, you know what I'm saying? And I do like the color scheme. I like how dark the burgundy is and stuff like that. But come on, man. The helmet having the golden, the yellow grill on it, the face mask and stuff like that. And then it's the stripe, man. It's really the stripe that's getting me, bro. And then they have the nerve in one of the pictures where, like, it's the gold pants with the burgundy top. And then it's, like, the white top with the burgundy pants. Like, come on, man. And then it's the all white. That literally looks just like us, bro. But, again, it's that stripe in the middle of the helmet that's like, come on, man. We got to be able to sue him for that one, man. Like, golly, man, just chill, Central Michigan. Just chill. And then lastly, before we get up out of here, the last topic of this video. Shouts out to Barry Sferluga. I really hope I did not butcher your name. Shouts out to Barry S. of the Washington Post, man. And he did an entire article breaking down the RFK Stadium and where we're at right now. Like, literally, the title in his Twitter was "Driven by RFK Stadium lately? Do it quickly. It's coming down on an inevitable outcome, the nostalgia that goes with it, and a baseball buried underneath." And again, this is an article written by Barry S. Sverluga. I hope that's how you pronounce that. But either way, he said a lot. I'm only going to read like maybe 10% of this article. So please, if you want any additional information, if you're even slightly intrigued by this, I really urge you to go read that Washington Post article that he has titled "Decrepit RFK Stadium Had to Come Down. It Still Kind of Stings." This is a guy that like is super Washington DC sports fan, all of that stuff. So driving by the stadium is hitting them hard. So if you're just passionate about it, you should definitely go check out this articles, because I'm just reading a couple of things from it. I may not even be reading a whole 10%. It may be less than that. So I really urge y'all. But he said before this new stadium can go up, the old one has to come down. Drive by now, and the progress with that project is viscerally stunning. The building has stood on that land since 1961. In the years since DC United moved out, let's be honest, for decades, it has been crumbling, an eyesore of peeling paint and rusting iron, even before United departed after the 2017 Major League Soccer season. So in July, it started to come down. A morning spent last week on outskirts of the stadium would have mesmerized any construction-obsessed toddler. But in watching the single crane working around the perimeter of the stadium and noting how long it took to chew off even a single section of the upper deck, an adult would ask, why not just blow the entire thing up? Steven Johnson said, quote, "It won't be a fast approach." And this is the executive vice president of events, DC, the arm of the district government that is overseeing the project. He said, quote, "It's very methodical. We're very sensitive to make sure the long-term effects, when you talk about a structure that has been in existence since 1961 and the type of materials that were used during that time in the 60s, what impact that would have on the families that reside in that community," unquote. The impact of an implosion: dust, lots and lots of dust, dust into the air, dust into the Anacostia River, dust potentially into our lungs. Instead, on a given day, 20 to 30 workers are chipping away to bring the stadium to its knees. For a project that ultimately involves destruction, it's pretty meticulous work, Johnson said. "What can be seen from outside is the work that crane began back in July, ripping down concrete ramps and other areas of the upper bowl. Crews started on the eastern side facing the Whitney Young Memorial Bridge that spans to Anacostia and have been working counterclockwise." And again, there's so much in here that I'm not even reading. I'm just skipping to the last couple of sentences here. He said, "Do yourself a favor. Take some time over the coming weeks and months to drive west on the East Capitol Street from Interstate 295 or east on the Independence Avenue from downtown. Do a loop around RFK before it vanishes completely. This is athletic history, it's DC history, and piece by piece, it's finally being torn down." But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you love everything discussing video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this. I really appreciate y'all for supporting the channel, man. Y'all are real ones, like especially if you made it this far in this video. Like you made it all the way through almost 30 minutes of me just talking about, again, it's a Rico report, so we're kind of bouncing around from top to top. You made it this far. I appreciate you and salute you personally. Make sure you leave a like on the way out. And of course, let me know how you feel about the games that the Commanders scouts are choosing to go to. Let me know how you feel about Gabe Taylor working hard, and how do you feel about his chances about potentially making the Commanders team maybe in 2026. Let me know how you feel about the things that Dan Quinn said about our, not depending on fourth down success that we had last year, especially depending on Jaden Daniels to bail us out, and also having to slightly overlook the Giants to prepare for the Packers since we have a short week. And also, how do you feel about the whole RFK demolition situation? Let me know how you feel about all of that. And Larry Tunsil getting ready for this Micah Parsons matchup, all of that, man. Really appreciate y'all. Make sure you leave a like on the way out. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.